Hey everyone, it's Jason from Kinda Cool, coming back at you with another One Life, No Death run. This time we're going to do Castlevania. Did Contra last time, so we're staying in the Konami family. First I'm going to show you how I did this. So I had originally done this on a CRT, but I wasn't happy with the way it came out. So I'm going to go back to my capture card here. We've got this going through the OSD into the capture device into OBS. Played on original hardware still though. We're playing it on my other NES RGB modded system. And just to show you, we got the original cartridge here and here. So last time we played it on the top loader in the CRT. This time we're going to play it on the front loader on the OSSC. So a little bit different, but same general idea. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. This is Castlevania, One Life, No Death run. So here's the famous opening scene here where you open the gates. It's the only time you ever get that particular shot of Simon Belmont, which is kind of neat, kind of interesting. So, and this is going to be a One Life, No Death run, but I'm going to try to run through it pretty quickly here. It's not going to be a speed run because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of the real true speedrunners out there, but I'm going to try to make it I call them a super efficient run, right? So I'm going to show you every now and then I'll show you a couple treasures and things like that. I won't necessarily maybe pick them up, but I'll show you where they are, just so you can be aware of them. Not all of them too. If some of them are out of the way, I'm not going to do it, obviously, because like I said, I'm going to try to keep this moving at a pretty good clip here. So we're going to move to the first level. There's really nothing terribly difficult going on with the first level as far as whether or not you may die. There's a couple of spots that are a little bit difficult to work through as far as the timing goes if you really want to get a good time in the level here. And it doesn't really at this point matter what weapon you have. So, you know, one of the things you're going to see me talk about here is getting the wrong weapon, because sometimes, just like in Contra, getting the wrong weapon in Castlevania can be akin to a death, depending on how proficient you are with all the weapons. But there are certain enemies that require a special weapon, and you'll see towards the end here. And what I'm trying to, when I jump right here, is I'm trying to set this bat. You can see I don't get him in the right pattern that I want, because I'm going to use this as a tip to jump over this area instead of going down where the fishmen are. And you can see you actually get knocked back over on the other side of the level here, and don't even have to go underneath the caves there where the fishmen pop out. So kind of a neat trick right there to save some time. And there's a few of those in Castlevania, and I'll utilize a couple of those here in this run. Not all of them, because some of them are super advanced, and so I got the axe here. The axe is really the only weapon you want for this level, so as long as you got this one coming into the bat here, you're going to be okay, the big giant bat. And one of the things you're trying to do, you know, I'm going to take him out relatively quickly, pretty decent run on him here. You're trying to keep as few hearts as possible, because if it really were like a speed run, it takes a little bit of time to count down those extra hearts that you have at the end of the level. You can see I've got 3 here in the queue right here. But sometimes you can have as many as, 15, 20, 30 or more, and it takes a long time to count those down. So you'll see speedrunners actually do the math where they only pick up the right number of hearts, but I'm not doing any of that here. I'm just trying to keep it generally in the vicinity of the number that I need when I fight the boss. So here's a crown right here. If you break these 2 blocks and step in here, you'll see a crown come out. I'm not going to pick it up again, but you can see it's down there. I think it's 3,000 points or 5,000 points for that one. I'm not sure. And that's all those really do, is just add to the score, and they're kind of neat to find. But now you can see I pick up my first shot multiplier here with the cross, and I grabbed the cross early. Now I'm going to keep this cross, and I'm pretty much going to wreck shot through most of the game with it. Whereas a lot of people will like to choose the holy water here. I'm doing it a little bit differently. And I can do it with a holy water run too, but I actually find this one much more enjoyable and much more unique. I don't see a lot of people run through the game with the cross. And I don't do a lot of research on the speedruns and things like that. I have seen some from, time to time, but I try to kind of formulate my own patterns and ideas around how to perform a speedrun. So I feel like if you watch too many of those, and here you see a little shortcut right here too, so you don't have to go back around and use the elevators. Use that mummy head to pop you up over the top of the ledge there. But yeah, I try to kind of formulate my own. Now I will take some tips from some videos that I watch, but again, I don't study them. So if you see some move that is like super common to a speedrun, why didn't you do X and Y? Well, I'm just kind of trying to do my own thing here. And you can see I kind of slowed down for that third squisher thing. I don't know what those are called, but the trap. You can actually do those in one move, but I took my time and took an extra second to get it right. So, but you can, if you time it just right, you can get through there without making a stop. But I didn't do it that time. So, and I'm holding about 11, 12 hearts right now. And that's you need about 9 to 11 to beat Medusa. Here we're coming up on the second boss, which is Medusa. So I'm in a pretty good range right here. You can actually do it in fewer, but every now and then she'll throw you kind of a random move that requires you to throw a couple extra crosses here. Boomerangs. I called them boomerangs when I was a kid. Later found out they're supposed to be crosses, so it's been difficult to fully make that transition. So, but that was a pretty good takedown of Medusa. Not terribly bad. Wasn't my best ever, but pretty good. I mean, you're gonna see this run is actually pretty good up until the very end, and we'll talk about when you get there. But I feel like it's a pretty confident run up to the last level. But I'll save that for no spoilers there yet till we get there. And this is I like this level a lot. But this level has a couple spots you've got to be careful about. So. And this actually has some of my favorite music in the game. Speaking of music in Castlevania, man, some of my all-time favorite soundtracks come from the Castlevania games. And this is Wicked Child is the name of this one. A really good tune, really excellent example of probably one of the best NES songs ever. Now, this one could be a little bit difficult as you work your way through here. I get a really good pattern on these ravens though. They kind of pop out exactly where I want to, and they have these kind of random, about 3 different sets of patterns they can run, and I actually got the ideal one in that one. So that was a pretty good run of luck right there for that one. So. And you're gonna see there's a lot of like endless walking in Castlevania. It's not always about whipping and trying to gauge the enemy. Sometimes it's just about trying to keep your foot on the gas and not stop. And I get another kind of good bounce here with the skeleton. About 2 out of 3 times he'll take that one, but sometimes he'll jump backwards, which will require you to take a hit. But that time he didn't, so that was a good placement of enemies right there for me on that one. So saved me a little bit of time, and obviously keep my health intact, which shouldn't be a major concern on this level as far as like, you know, whether you're going to die of health. So you shouldn't take too many hits on this level if you know it well, because it's more about just navigating not falling off into the traps in the floor than it is really getting hit multiple times by enemies. And right now, you're not even to the point where they're taking enough energy to really become a major concern. Later on in the levels where they take off a quarter of your energy, you've got to kind of formulate a new strategy around that. So, and this is where the cross really just kind of wrecks shop, like I said, and you can really take these guys out, especially with that triple shot multiplier. I mean, you just keep slinging them, and you can usually clear the way pretty quickly of anything that's in front of it. And you can actually get a pretty tight pattern going with the Medusa heads here too, like you'll see me take these out all at the same time with that dragon head statue. So we're gonna take the mummies down here, and we're gonna try to get a critical hit glitch, which is basically one of the very advanced maneuvers in Castlevania, where if you can actually cause multiple hits at the same time, and it can be yourself or it can be enemies, you can actually, it takes off a sizable chunk of their energy, and it is a glitch. It's not designed into the game. And there's a lot of speedrunners that actually exploit this ability. You can do it on the first level bat, which I didn't even try to do, but I have done it before. But I can't do it consistently like they can. So they can critically hit, glitch every enemy in the game and make such short work of them that they're like, you know, a 4-second fight, 6-second fight at the most for some of these. But not me. But that was a pretty efficient takedown of the mummy twins right there. So now this level was one of probably the more difficult ones in the game. There's a lot that can go wrong here, and the miscellaneous patterns that the enemies throw at you can really give you headaches sometimes. So I get a pretty good run here on this one where I pretty much get the enemies where I like them for the most part. And you can kind of see what I'm doing here. A lot of people will jump onto the top of these spikes here, and I've done that before, but I don't prefer it. So I'm going to take the low route here and kind of use the cross to kind of clear the way for me. As you can see, I'm keeping a cross going at specific points in the level here, so it can destroy enemies as they appear, as they materialize, as they pop up. And again, talking about losing, you know, if you want to go through it with a cross, or if you want to go through it with the holy water, one of the more important things to do is to not pick up the wrong weapon. And right here, this area is notoriously known for the axe, and there it is. And so I had a keen enough eye to keep an eye out for it and not pick it up, which would have been a kind of a disastrous move for the rest of the game as far as a really efficient playthrough. So I'm glad that I saw it, and that randomly pops up here about half the time you play the game too. So good to see that I didn't accidentally pick that up. This guy, you just walk right under him, keep going. Like I said, keep moving at a pretty good clip. Just walk right under him. You don't have to even engage him. So for that dragon skeleton head. And you can see I've got about 14 hearts, which is about where you want to be on this level. So I'm trying not to pick up too many more, but it's kind of difficult to not pick up parts in this one because of the way that these skeleton dragons drop them. They'll either drop money bags or hearts. And you're going to see both of these give me hearts. So I'm going to actually kick up higher in hearts than I actually need. But it's okay. I mean, again, this isn't a perfect run, and this isn't a speed run. It's gonna, you know, probably not even a personal best for me, but it's a pretty good run. Like I said, we'll talk about what happens at the end. There's some drama here at the end. This is a pretty good takedown of Frankenstein and Igor. I mean, pretty short work of them. And I think the cross can really do a lot of damage to most of the enemies in the game, just like the holy water can. But again, I'm giving you a little bit different look because you've probably seen mostly every speed run you've ever seen has probably been a holy water run. So I'm giving you a cross run here and kind of showing you what it can do when utilized well. You can see me take out both of these flea men pretty quickly there with that. Now, we're gonna have a changeover in the game. Now, speaking of that, I'm gonna change over to the holy water here because the Grim Reaper is really vulnerable to this particular weapon. Now, I could take him down with the cross or boomerang cross, whatever you want to call it, but it's not as a sure thing as the holy water. So we're gonna switch over here, just in the idea of trying to get a good, perfect run or no death run here. So we're gonna go holy water here. Probably, if everything works out well, should keep this holy water all the way up to the last part of the game. Let's see if that happens or not. And you're gonna see already, the beauty of it is you already get a double shot multiplier in this hidden block right here. So we're gonna pick that up, and this makes this weapon much more formidable than it is normally. So just like the cross, with the multiplier, this weapon becomes very dangerous, very deadly. And there's a pork chop right there in that bottom, our top left kind of corner. We don't need it right now because obviously we haven't taken a hit, so no reason to stop and waste time on a pork chop or wall meat or whatever you want to call it that we don't need. So now we've got this knight here. We're gonna try to take down this knight. Actually, we're gonna just force him off to the side of the screen, and we're going to try to take this guy down with just a holy water attack here. It's gonna take a couple good shots, and there he is. And then there's another axe. We've got to be very careful that we don't pick that up. And we don't, so we've avoided another potential crisis, and you see me accidentally sidestep down into the stairs there. What if I was doing a speed run, I'd hit the reset button right there. But again, this is just a one life, no death playthrough, so no harm, no foul. We hit the stairs a little bit more than we wanted to. And we're gonna navigate these armored knights. And you can see, with a good timing and good placement of the holy water, they really pose no real threat. It usually takes one to stun them and then a second one to completely eliminate them. And you'll see probably a better example of this right here, right now. And it's pretty quick. A lot of people will stun them and walk right through them, but I just find like that's not satisfying enough for me. I never got into the idea of just stunning and walking through. So I usually have to finish these enemies off. There's just something about like an itch you have to scratch. It just annoys me to not do it that way. Now I have done runs where I do it that way just to see if I can shave off time, but I'm playing for fun, so if I find it more fun to whip the enemies into oblivion, then that's so be it. That's what I'm gonna do, right? So we're getting pretty close. We've navigated most of the troublesome areas. There's a wall meat right there in the back right corner, but again, we haven't taken a hit, so we don't need that. This area can be difficult if you don't time your holy waters just right, and you're following the kind of the arc of these Medusa heads as well. And as long as you keep moving, you can pin them there with that knight as well. It's really not a major problem. I mean, it takes you some time to understand the pattern and what it is they're trying to do there to get you. Now here's the Grim Reaper of Death, and we're gonna freeze him in the corner, and we're just gonna whip and burn with the holy water. You can see I'm continuing to whip attack him because that actually takes more energy than just using the holy water. So it actually takes a couple hits from him each time you hit him with the whip when he's stunned with the holy water versus if you just continuously throw holy water. So, and I had a little bit more hearts here than I wanted to. I had 11 extra in excess here, so you're gonna see a little bit of time taken off of this for that. But you know what? Again, it's just a super efficient run. It's not a perfect run, so we're okay with that. So navigating to the very last level here, we're going to be in the tower. And I feel like this is probably the hardest part of the game right here. There's series, I believe, 4 of the first level boss bats here. And you're using the holy water basically to stun them and make sure you can kind of traverse your way across this bridge safely. And they have about 3 different patterns that they run. So I get a pretty good pattern set right here. I didn't like the one he threw at me here, and he actually threw me a curve because I thought he was going to go right, and I kind of committed to it. And at the last second, he didn't go right. He came left for me. So that actually caused me to take a hit here. So I may have to adjust accordingly at the wall meat for this level with that in mind. So, but I still have the weapon I want. I'm still using the holy water. I can make it work with the holy water, and we're going to see if we can get through here. Take the holy water all the way up to Count Dracula here and see if we can take him out. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to lure the skeleton. We'll try to lure him out, but I decided to go ahead and go on the offensive there and go attack him. Take another hit here, so now that's pretty much cements the fact I'm going to need to get the wall meat coming up over here. Now I don't want to get one of these because that's a dagger. We don't want that. So here's the wall meat. I'm going to try to kind of lay the groundwork with the holy water. And I picked it up, and I'm doing pretty good energy-wise, but I need to get out of here and get down these steps. Now this is the hardest part of the level right here, which what I'm going to have to do. Quickly toss a triple of holy water over there to freeze those guys. as I find my way up the stairs and then whip the seagull right here. So that's not an easy part of the game, folks. That's probably one of the more difficult pieces to make happen right there, but we got it. So we're getting ready to enter the clock tower, and now here we are. Now, after all this talk with me telling you guys about how important it is to not pick up the wrong weapon, what do? I pick up the wrong weapon. Noob, rookie mistake. I grabbed the cross when I had a full triple shot multiplier holy water ready to go. So now you can go, here's a little trick that maybe you don't know, is you can go back down the stairs, and if you feel like you're not doing quite enough good, or quite enough well on hearts, so you can actually juice up your hearts right here. And I'm going to go ahead and give it one more round here, because I'm going to try to correct on the fly here, because the holy water is still here for me in this candle. I just don't have the multiplier with it to pin the second phase of Dracula down. So big mistake by me here that really ruined what could have been a really excellent run. So I'm gonna go and switch over the holy water now. What I'm trying to do now is hit all Dracula shots at the same time to get him to produce a shot multiplier for me. I can make this work with just 2, so with a double. So, and of course he fights me every step of the way here. And you know, normally, look at these hits I'm getting here. I'm getting triple hits with one thing, which usually would spawn a shot multiplier randomly pretty quickly. But of course, I do multiple ones and it still doesn't pop up. So we're trying to see if we can get that to pop up, and then we're gonna move into to action here if we can get that to happen. So, but big mistake by me not picking the right weapon. You know, so keeping the right weapon, like I said before, it can be akin to a death. We're gonna overcome that here the best we can. We're gonna persevere and see if we can pull this off anyway. All right, I think we're gonna one more attack here. I think we're about to pick it up. Look at how many times he's going here. This is a bit of an anomaly that he's going this long without giving me a multiplier. Pretty insane. All right, there it is. Finally, we got a couple hearts. So we're gonna go to work now. We're gonna see if we can start taking down the head here. And this is just kind of a whip and jump. This is kind of a perfect timing thing where if you get it just right, you jump over the triple fireballs and you hit him in the head at the same time. So pretty standard pattern that was born from this game, and you would see it actually make its way into several future iterations of Castlevania as well, when you at least attempt to battle some form of Dracula. The whip to the head. Rondo of Blood has it to an extent. Bloodlines has it to an extent. And I believe the first battle from Symphony of the Night has it. So it all started here, though. This is where this came in. And we're getting pretty close here. We're almost down again. I could have really had a really good run here. Time was I lost a good minute and a half by making the mistake of picking up the cross boomerang there. But we're gonna see what happens. All right, last one before he transforms into his second form here. And they call this Cookie Monster when you're doing like a speed run or something like that, for when they start the clock for this particular portion of the battle. And you can see I'm pinning him down with the double shot holy water here, and I'm trying to whip him in the head at the same time. And I'm actually coming dangerously close to running out of hearts because I used so many trying to get the original first iteration of the count to pop up the. Look at this! I came really close to dying right there, but I didn't. And so what do you know? There you go. That is a 1 life, no death, albeit with some drama there versus the count. 1 life, no death run of Castlevania on the NES. So, again, I did a Contra one earlier. I've got a few of these up my sleeve, but I do like the Konami games a whole lot. I have a couple I know left in the NES I can do for the Konami games because I just love these so much. I love trying to 1 life these. I've got Jackal that I can do. I've got, I'm working on Russian Attack. I'm almost there in Russian Attack. I feel like I could probably do one of those pretty quickly if we want to do Russian Attack, but kind of let the ending play out here. But I may switch gears and I may do some more of these. I may switch it up and do like a Genesis game or something next. Got a couple of those as well that I like to do. Maybe some Revenge of Shinobi. And I have to admit that as much as I like this game, this is a terribly lame ending. I was hoping for so much more. I worked so hard as a kid to finally beat this kid, as a kid, and I was disappointed at how kind of mundane this ending is. I was expecting so much more. What are you gonna do though, right? Some of the Castlevania endings will get better in the future, but out of all the good things that started from this particular title, good endings were not one of them. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this kind of cool, and keep an eye on my channel in the future, and I hope to show you something else kind of cool.